Hi guys, today we're going to do some repair work on my White's Prism 3. This is a machine that I picked up on Facebook Marketplace for $40. I wasn't expecting much out of it, and when I picked it up it was worn, well used, let's put it that way. But it did clean up really good, and if you saw my last video you saw some of the upgrades that I did. I put on a new arm strap, some arm cuff pads, some cable clips. But one problem that this unit did have is the internal speaker is not working. I can hear just fine through a headset, but the speaker itself is not working. So I ordered one from White's, and here it is. And now we're going to tear it apart and replace the speaker. Let's get started. There's the strap and the pads I was telling you about, and the handy little clips. Anyway, it's going to be a lot easier to work on this unit, on the head unit, if I take it off. So we'll start by disconnecting the surge coil, and I believe there's a couple of screws on the back, and they appear to be Torx of some kind. Let's see if I have the right bit. Too big. That one may work. Always put your parts somewhere in a little cup, bucket, or somewhere where you can't accidentally knock them onto the floor or lose them. In my case, we have a couple of cats around here that like to find little pieces like screws, nuts, washers, and bolts, and bat them around until they're under the fridge or the stove or whatnot. So I'm going to keep my eye on these, and I'm going to keep them right here close to me. Okay, so I just took out the two screws. I think it should come right off now. Yep. And we're going to set this aside. Okay, I can see the speaker in here, through here, but I think it'd probably be a good idea if we take out the batteries before we do anything else. Set those aside as well. So this is the battery compartment, and we're going to have to get back in here to get to the speaker. But for now, got 4 screws I'll take off. Okay, that should be all of them. Okay, so now you can see we've got the whole unit, but the motherboard is connected by wires. These wires are going to come off pretty easily just by pulling. Did you see that? Pull this one off. This one's a little tighter, gonna have to wiggle it. Now this one only has 2 connections like this, but if you're working with one that has a lot more, you want to try to remember which one came from where, if they have a bunch that are all the same size. Anyway, okay, we're gonna set all those screws aside, and the faceplate and motherboard will set aside. Okay, now if you look close, this red wire is going to to the speaker. It's connected with solder. It's just soldered onto the two leads. And when we replace and put in the new one, we're going to have to use the same wire. So we're going to heat it up, pull this one off, pull it out of the solder joint, and resolder it onto the new one. But this is where you run into your first problem. You might be looking at this thinking, well, how in the heck do you get the speaker out of there? At least I did. Because there is no, this is all one piece, except for this lid back here. So there is two more screws back in there, way in the back. Just two screws. Let's take those out, see what happens. Here's one. There's two. Let's see if we can get them to come out of here. One. And they're the same size as the other one, so it's okay if you put them with all the rest. Ta-da! Okay, those screws are out. This is where we need to go and get into the battery compartment. Now, if I understand correctly, underneath this sticker is a joint. And basically the only thing holding the piece of plastic in is this sticker. So we're going to get a razor blade and slice it, because you don't want to remove the sticker. This gives you your serial number, model number, and that's about it. Now, to find that, I just don't see it, I don't feel it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Just doesn't look like you'd think it would. So remember what I said in the beginning of the video about cutting that sticker? It's true, you have to. Even though there were some other parts besides that we had to remove, that sticker is key. So anyway, we've got this apart. Let's take a look at the speaker. I don't see why this seems like it's okay, but we already got the other one. Not too expensive. The new one was $9.95. It's just going to be easier to cut these leads off, because not only are they soldered on, but they are wrapped on. Let's not confuse the old one with the new one. Thank you very much. I want to get this thing back together. I want to get outside and start detecting. I don't even know if these strippers go that small. Nope, that's okay. There's more than one way to skin a cat wire. One more. Okay, twisted. By the way, this is probably not the best solder for the job, but it's all I found. Alright, so heating up. Let this get hot for a second, and then we'll put the hot tip onto the metal there shortly, just enough to get up into the wire, the heat into the wire. Then when we touch it with the solder, it'll actually turn the solder to a liquid and suck it up into the wire and this connection, and we're good to go. What I don't want to happen is if I put too much solder on there, some is going to drop off and actually fall through onto the plastic cone of the speaker, and it'll be ruined immediately. So we have to be very careful. I hope that did it for that side. We'll check the connection in just a second. Let's try the other side. Making me nervous, Rick, because I don't want it to. Let's see if you can see. Anyway. It's time to start putting this back together. Our speaker, let's see if I can do it backwards. This bundle of wires in the way. It sits just like so. Okay, now when we pulled that apart, this little piece with the springs popped out, and I thought this was part of the maybe the battery connections, but it's not, because I just see on the back of the motherboard all the battery connections are up across the top there. So that's not what it is. It turns out it's the release catch or hasp, whatever you want to call it, to the battery covered door. And I just forget which way it goes in. We'll take a look at it this way and figure it out. The other way was the right way. Okay, so it's hard to see here, but the speaker's back in the right place. Now it's time to put some of the screws back together that was holding all this. Oh, I think I see how that works. But first things first. Let's put these two screws back in the bottom that helped hold this together. Probably tired of looking at my bald head, aren't you? Balding head. Okay, that's 2 screws. I'm really excited to see if it's gonna work, so I think I'm gonna hook it up and give it a shot. Hoping you can see this. before I put it all the way back together, I'm going to hook it back up to the search coil, and we hope it works. No luck on the speaker. I mean, it's still working.